I'm gonna keep this really simple. Jumanji: The Next Level is the third, or apparently to some people, the fourth film in the Jumanji franchise. I say apparently because I guess there is a subset of moviegoers who count 2005's Zathura as a Jumanji universe film. This is simply due to the fact that Zathura is based on a children's book that is the sequel to the book that the Jumanji films are based on, with both books being written by the same author. I don't see it that way, however, so to me this is just the third Jumanji film. The plot of The Next Level is easy enough to follow. When Spencer's friends learn he got sucked back into the video game world of Jumanji, they go inside the game to rescue him. However, instead of sucking the three of them into the game, it sucks two of them as well as Spencer's grandfather and his friend inside. From there, Fridge, Martha, Spencer's grandfather Eddie, and his friend Milo have to find Spencer, who is somewhere in the game, while also playing the game of Jumanji itself, which is entirely different this time around. Right off the bat, I do want to say that I enjoyed this iteration of Jumanji more than the previous one. With the core characters already well established and just enough new characters to spice things up, the film was very entertaining and fun to experience. I like that the game world of Jumanji felt familiar yet different enough to keep me guessing as to what had changed. The story within the game was also more interesting than the rather generic story from Welcome to the Jungle, which was a nice touch. As with Welcome to the Jungle, Jumanji relies heavily on the performances of its A-list cast to carry the film. Danny DeVito and Danny Glover are newcomers in the film's real world, and as such, the biggest draw for the film is definitely seeing The Rock and Kevin Hart do impressions of them. There's also the addition of the quickly rising Awkwafina, as well as Rory McCann from Game of Thrones as the big bad villain. Interestingly enough, I found one of the weaker elements of Jumanji: The Next Level to be some of its visual effects. I'm not one to typically complain about VFX. I know that VFX artists are underpaid and overworked, and that much of the budget for a film like this goes to paying for its big stars. However, some of the effects were so rubbery and lacking texture that it was distracting. I tried to brush it off and tell myself that it's because they're inside of a video game, but that just feels like a pretty poor excuse. Games are well known these days for their jaw-dropping visuals. And sure, you could say that Jumanji isn't a brand new 4K game, I know, but it was still a little bit distracting. On the flip side, even though I found the VFX themselves were kind of spotty at times, the cinematography this time around was sometimes breathtaking. Mix this with the amazing locations set inside the game, and Jumanji is a very pretty film to look at, especially on a large format screen like Cinemark XD or IMAX. Like I mentioned, the biggest draw for these films is the talent on display. Everyone does a very fine job in the film, but all of the acting is just serviceable. Obviously, the film isn't going for extremely dimensional characters, and I appreciate that all of the teens in the film were more fleshed out this time around, but just like Welcome to the Jungle, the viewer's connection with them is pretty weak. The actual story within the game story was a little lackluster at times. Certain scenes were oddly put together and suspiciously missing tension, which I don't know if this is due to the directing, the editing, or both, but the scene that best describes this is a scene involving Nick Jonas's character and a booby-trapped room. Lastly, not so much a criticism, but rather something I just happened to notice during my screening, but the amount of profanity in The Next Level seems to be turned up a notch from Welcome to the Jungle, and especially from the original Jumanji. My theater was packed full of families with younger children, and sometimes it felt weird to hear so much cussing, even if the words were rather mild. There's also a discussion about testicles that I found to be extremely out of place, but to be fair, the movie is rated PG-13. I know it's not a Pixar or a Disney movie, but it just felt a little bit out of place. At the end of the day, Jumanji: The Next Level is the perfect Christmas family movie. It has good performances, great set pieces, some really beautiful cinematography, and it is extremely entertaining. My final rating for Jumanji: The Next Level is 3 out of 5 stars. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my review. If you liked this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel for more essays and reviews coming soon.